Plenty more lefties losing it, including Karine Jean-Pierre and Kamala, with my next guest. But first, let's look at this report from the New York Post revealing that 75% of the people the police have arrested in Midtown Manhattan in recent months for crimes like assault, robbery and domestic violence are migrants. This is according to police sources who also tell the Post the problem is made worse by sanctuary city laws that prevent them from working with ICE on cases where they believe the migrants have entered the country illegally. And they're also banned from tracking the immigration status of offenders. Joining me now is commentator, documentary filmmaker and proud New Yorker, Ami Horowitz. Ami, things aren't going too well in your home city. Are you moving to Florida like so many others have?
I am going down with the ship. Okay, Rita, I will be here until the end. I will play the music as me and the captain stand and watch the ship go down after it hit the iceberg, because it seems like that's what's going on here. Not if you listen to the media, though, because the media will tell you everything is hunky-dory and crime is down. Look, the reality is the crime statistics are a little more nuanced than either side will lead you to believe. So, for example, in New York, you have rape is up, assault is up, murder is down a bit. If you look at statistics as a snapshot in time, they don't really give you a sense of what the city is really like.
Now, Kamala Harris's shifting accent is becoming harder for her campaign team to deny, with more examples coming to light. Here she switched up her accent quite dramatically on the same day.
Person in our nation has benefited from that work. You know, everywhere I go, I tell people, you may not be a union member, but you better thank unions for that 5-day work week. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
Yes, that was firstly Pittsburgh Kamala, and then we got the Detroit version, which was fairly different. Fox News' Peter Doocy asked White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre about this bizarre behaviour.
Since when does the Vice President have what sounds like a Southern accent?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well,
I mean, this is...
She was talking about unions in Detroit using one tone of voice.
Is this something that
same
you think...
line.
Okay, Peter.
That she used the same line in Pittsburgh, and it sounded like she at least had some kind of a Southern drawl.
I mean, do you hear the question that you're... I mean, do you think Americans seriously think that this is an important question? They care... You know what they care about? They care about the economy. They care about lowering costs. They care about health care. That's what Americans care about.
Yes, that is what Americans care about, along with the border, crime. But the president is lying on the beach on what seems to be an endless holiday, and the vice president is workshopping accents. Ami, my question to you is, who's running the country right now? Because these issues are present, and as Karine Jean-Pierre articulated there, it's what's concerning Americans most: cost of living and the border crisis, crime.
Oh, can you please leave poor old Joe Biden alone, okay? He's an old man. He needs to take his nap. Let the guy sit and rest on the Delaware beach and go to sleep. Enough of that. Look, for the first time, I agree with Jean-Pierre Karine, right? They care about the economy. Fail. They care about lower prices. Fail. Thank you for making that clear to the American people. But, you know, it's just incredulous that she doesn't know what you're talking. Really? She doesn't know what they're talking about? Look, this is very similar to Hillary Clinton. She did the same exact thing. And if you go to Harlem, like I did, and ask them about that specifically, they have a word for it. It's called black scent. This is like black people in Harlem told me that it is black scenting. It's pathetic. It is pandering at the lowest level. Do you know where? Look, Kamala Harris grew up in Madison, Wisconsin, and Urbana, Illinois. Those two cities, because her father was an academic, her mother was a medical researcher. She didn't grow up in the hood, okay? She didn't grow up in Detroit. But it's pandering, and by the way, it's worse than that. It's racist pandering, because in other words, like, you think that black people want to hear you speak like that? Like, for some reason, black people think you're more connected to them if you speak in that twang. It's ridiculous. And also, God, it reminds me
It's
that
patronizing.
It reminds me when Hillary Clinton was at a black-owned restaurant and she took out hot sauce from her purse. Oh God, people, you really think black people can't see through this?
Yeah.
They can.
And Ami, must be said, the vice president and her VP pick have been particularly weak on foreign policy matters, including the war between Israel and Hamas. This is Tim Walz earlier this week when he was asked about the murder of 6 Israeli hostages.
What's your reaction to the 6 hostages being found dead in Gaza?
All right. Thanks, everybody.
And Ami, you'd recall Vice President Harris refusing to preside over or even attend Benjamin Netanyahu's joint address to Congress in July. How do you see the reaction of the Biden-Harris administration and the Harris-Walz team in light of this week's tragedy?
Look, what we just saw from Tim Walz was absolutely disgusting. Okay, for him to walk away and not comment on the brutality of those 6 hostages who were murdered in cold blood by Hamas, it's disgusting, but really is more than anything telling about the Harris-Walz campaign and what ultimately they will look like as an administration. And by the way, there's a lot of blame to go around. The media is portraying, and by the way, I also want to mention that Hirsch, Poland, Goldberg, it's personal to me. I actually went to college with John Poland. So it's particularly difficult for me to see his death. Obviously, we held that hope, and it came to pass that he was killed. But I want to put out that word, he was killed. He was murdered. Why do I say that? Because the media is portraying it as if it's Israel's fault for continuing this war. Even worse than that, CNN had a headline that said that Hirsch died. He died of what? Skin cancer? A bike riding accident? No, it was one of the most despicable displays of the mainstream media's headlines I have ever seen. That's the problem we're facing.
I saw that CNN headline, incredible that they would have framed it in that way, and it did upset a lot of people, understandably. Let's go back to New York now, and it's clear the left has an anti-Semitism problem, and it's one that's only growing. Over the Labor Day weekend, thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters took to the streets, some brandishing Hamas flags just days after the terrorists murdered 6 Israeli hostages in Rafah. And the best and brightest are not much better, Ami. Columbia University students have returned to campus after the summer break, and they have already started protesting against Israel in their usual violent way. People have been arrested during the demonstrations. The university's iconic alma mater bronze statue was defaced with red paint. What is the cure here for this growing anti-Semitism, which obviously goes beyond just anti-Israeli sentiment? This is anti-American, anti-West, and anti-Jewish, undeniably.
There is no answer. I mean, this is a problem. It's not going to go away for a very, very long time. And you said it there exactly right. It goes beyond anti-Semitism, hatred of Jews. It continues the anti-Westernism, anti-Americanism. And what do those 3 things have in common, Rita? Because when you find the common denominator, you get to the root of the problem. The common denominator is those 3 things are successful, right? America is the most successful country in the world. The West is the most successful region in the world. Jews are one of the most successful subgroups in the world. They don't hate Jews because we wear little funny hats and we keep kosher, right? They hate Jews because in their intersectional mantra, if you are successful, you are demonized. If you are successful, you couldn't be successful because you are smart or worked hard or had certain values that made you successful. You're successful because you stepped on the necks of people below you. That is the theology of the left, and that cuts across any religion or any other subgroup. It cuts across regions and countries. They hate Israel because Israel is successful. They hate Jews because Jews are successful. They hate America because it's successful, and so forth and so on. That's what it boils down to. It is a Marxist ideology dressed up in, hey, we're looking out for the underdogs. We're looking out for the little guys. Never mind that in this case, the underdogs and the little guys butchered 1,200 Jews in Israel. Never mind that small, little, annoying fact. Let's not get that in the way of our hatred of the West, of Jews and success, because that's what it comes down to.
Ami Horowitz, thank you for your time tonight.